Good evening, wrestling fans, and welcome back to the Piledriver Pundit. And we are here with episode number 2. It's been a minute since I've been with you guys. Had a lot going on the past couple of months, but that's neither here nor there. It's time to get back into it. Time to get a regular groove going. Going forward, I may have a couple guests here and there. May just be me, but I'm going to aim to try and put out at least one episode per week. Eventually, I hope to get down to a specific date. I don't know if that's going to be Fridays or Saturdays or whatever, but I will have one day a week where I'm going to set aside time to record, maybe do any necessary editing, and get it out to you fine folks. The one thing that I can guarantee you here with this show is unfiltered. I'm not pulling any punches here. It's going to be me, my opinions. Any guests I have, their opinions, and that's what it is. And what you're going to have, and I promise you this, an unbiased look at professional wrestling. The good, the bad, the in between. I'm not one of those people that's going to, bow down and say, oh, WWE is the greatest product ever, because it isn't. I'm not one of those people that's going to say, oh, AEW is the best product ever, because it isn't. There's good and there's bad with both. And the sooner that we realize that, the better. So, getting into episode number 2 today, there's quite a lot to talk about. There's some wrestler who, name escapes me, would say, so, what do you want to talk about? And I think we get right down to the very nitty gritty. The topic of discussion is, of course, the return of CM Punk, who is arguably one of the more controversial superstars that we've ever had. Certainly one of the most outspoken, very polarizing too. Some people love him, some people hate him. And then there are some people, myself, who really don't care and are just tired of hearing about it. It seems like you're always hearing stories. Oh, this person hates him. That person hates him. Everyone's got an opinion. The AEW diehards absolutely hate him, think he betrayed them, this and that. The WWE diehards absolutely love him. Oh, the second coming is back. He's back. Stop. First, I think we need to address the elephant in the room with him, and that is simply put, what happened at All Out last year with the what is known as Brawl Out with the Elite is extremely unfortunate that that it happened even to begin with. With that, um, we all saw the press conference. Everyone knows it by now. The comments that Punk made. I'm not going to rehash it. You can find the clips out there of what was said if you don't know or if you don't remember. Now, am I saying that he said things that maybe were not true? No. I don't know the inner workings of AEW, and quite frankly, that's not my business. As an observer, what I will say though is some of that blame needs to be put on Tony Khan. Punk should have never been allowed to say those things. Immediately should have cut it off. Should have been like, okay, we're done here. Thank you for your time. This and that. And knowing that he was heated, that of course the Elite were seeing that Kenny, Bucks, Hangman, whoever, were going to be heated. When you're called out like that in public, you're going to be mad. Now, had they handled things privately, like adults, wouldn't have been a thing. I think it all would have blown over. That would have been the end of it. Done. Instead, as it went on, there was a fight. People got hit. Some people got bit. Well, it was Kenny that got bit. And it's neither here nor there. So, of course, Punk disappears. And at one point, I believe it was in Chicago when Raw was there. He randomly showed up, uninvited, just showed up. And that he was backstage. Supposedly, he talked with a couple of friends, talked with Triple H. And at one point, the going story is that Triple H called Vince to let him know, and decision was made to tell Punk, "You got to go. We can't have this. You got to go." And people say, "Well, what's the big deal with him being there?" Well, the big deal is CM Punk at that time was a contracted AEW superstar, and WWE has gotten in trouble with interfering with contracts. They did it previously with AEW. Believe they did it with MLW as well. I almost want to say there was even something with Impact or sorry, TNA a couple years back that there's a whole thing there. So they cannot have it look like that's what they were doing because up until that point, CM Punk was still contracted. So Punk comes back to AEW and everything appears to be going all well. He's doing the real world champion gimmick. The unfortunate part with that is now we're never going to know where that was going to lead to. Was that going to lead to he and MJF going again? Their matches were really good, but we'll never know. We will never know. What should have happened. We're just not going to know. Option then it goes on. There was All in Wembley. He had wrestled Samoa Joe for the Real World's title. He ended up retaining that, and it was said that Jack Perry wanted to use real glass, and Punk said, don't do that. You don't need to be doing that. And well, he did it anyway. And I can't remember exactly what he said, but he looked in the camera. He said something about real glass, and it was clearly a dig at Punk. Punk gets mad. There's a confrontation backstage. Fists are thrown. Punk supposedly lunges at Tony Khan. And again, should have never gotten that far. You see on Reddit, there's a popular "Am I the a-hole?" subreddit. And it's either, yeah, you're the a-hole, no, you're not the a-hole, or everybody's a-hole here. In this situation, it was everybody. Punk, because he flipped out, supposedly lunged at Khan, the fight with Jack Perry. It's childish and it is bad publicity that AEW did not need. Let's be real, no company needs that going on. And arguably, what is your biggest show of your company's history? A show where everybody needs to be on their A game. You should not be having that. It'd be the same thing if WrestleMania happened. And, before the internet, we had stories like realistically, WrestleMania 14, I know it's been common said that there was fear that Shawn Michaels wasn't going to be doing the job to Steve Austin, and that Undertaker was waiting right in the gorilla position for Shawn Michaels to come back, and he was going to make him go back out there. Thank God that didn't happen. But the point is, it should have never gotten this far. So, Jack Perry gets suspended. Punk gets suspended again. A couple days later, it's announced that CM Punk has been fired from AEW for cause. Okay. So then that got the ball rolling, and that's when the rumor mill kicked up big time. There was, oh, where is he gonna go? Is he gonna go to New Japan? Is he gonna go to Ring of Honor? Not Ring of Honor. Is he gonna go to Impact? Is he gonna go back to WWE? Everyone was saying, "Oh, it's gonna be WWE. Oh, it's gonna be WWE. It's gonna be this place, that place." He's gonna show up at Survivor Series, which is gonna be in Chicago, which ultimately ended up happening. Now, with the Survivor Series, it makes sense for it to happen. And let's be real, I'm not a huge CM Punk fan. I enjoy some of his older stuff, some of his old school Ring of Honor stuff. Some of the stuff he did in WWE, I enjoyed. The WWE version of Summer of Punk, I thought was entertaining. Um, and then, of course, the night of the return, we saw the video of Rollins freaking out. And supposedly nobody knew that he was coming back. The only people that supposedly knew were Triple H and Nick Khan. Um, Supposedly they were the only people that knew. Although I've got to imagine somebody in production had to know, whether that's Kevin Dunn. I think he's still there. Somebody knew. Somebody had to know that he was coming back. I don't know. I don't know if he did, didn't. It doesn't matter. So it looks like they are now building towards Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. Most recently, Punk said he's entering the Rumble, and that when he wins, he's going to go after Rollins. Obvious that Rollins doesn't like him. Now, the big thing also, supposedly, there is a very strict clause in Punk's contract to prevent stuff like, the two fights in AEW from happening. And you look at what happened and who's to blame there. Initially, if it had just been brawl out, with the Elite versus Punk, yeah, I guess you could say that there was some blame on both sides. Yes, Punk said things. On the other hand, the Elite didn't have to get involved. They didn't have to, go to Punk's locker room and again, with that, nobody knows exactly what was said, and the people that do know aren't going to talk about it for legal purposes. Now, I have seen things from WWE diehards who say, well, if Rollins can behave himself, this and that. Okay, let's play devil's advocate here for a moment. Is Rollins really the guy you got to worry about? Has he ever had major backstage brawls where you had to have people pull him apart? No. Rollins is a guy who will do what the company tells him. He is a company guy. He was a company guy for Triple H. Or sorry, he was a company guy for Vince. He's a company guy for Triple H. And if there is money to be made, they'll do it. He'll do what needs to be done for the product. Um, Now the question is going to be: is CM Punk going to play ball? Is he going to cooperate? Is he going to do what needs to be done and do, to borrow a line from Triple H, is Punk going to do what's best for business? Who knows? What this does do is this does kind of upset the apple cart, as they say, for professional wrestling, because before, I still think we're gonna get Roman versus Cody at Mania 40, where Cody's probably gonna go over. People keep saying, "Oh, it's gonna be Rock." You can do Rock versus Roman, but that doesn't need a title. And honestly, look, if it didn't happen last year, I don't see it. I think you want to get the title off Roman, then Mania 40 is when you do it. To me, it only makes sense. You need the biggest show in the company's history. Because and yes, say we say, well, it's WrestleMania. Let's look at Mania 40 for a moment here. WrestleMania 40 is the 40th anniversary of the company's biggest show. It is also the first WrestleMania under the Endeavor umbrella. Their first, it's the first WrestleMania they've had since they took over. There's going to be a lot of eyes on the product. There's going to be there's going to be advertisers. There's going to be other media personalities. There's going to be fans, a lot of people, and investors, people who would be maybe looking to purchase, Endeavor and TKO stock. They're going to be watching us to see how it folds out. As a fan, I'm excited for the future. Some manias have horrible builds, but have turned out really, really good. Some have had great builds, but have ended up being really horrible. This is one of those years where I just don't know. We're probably going to get Punk versus Rollins on I would say probably Saturday. So night one. Night two is probably going to be Cody versus Roman 2. Although I feel with Cody Roman 2, that needs some kind of gimmick match. Honestly, I would love to see a last man standing. Um, there have been rumors that Roman's done when he drops the title, or if not, he's taking a massive time off. I think what you do a last man standing match, or maybe even a loser leaves town kind of deal. We haven't gotten one of those in quite a while. So you do that, Roman loses, goes away for a while, comes back as a babyface, maybe give him kind of like the Brock Lesnar style, you know, career where he comes back for, the big matches, your Manias, your Rumbles, your Saudi shows, the big ones like that. And we go from there. So I don't know. This whole Punk thing is very unique. That kind of bleeds into the next topic I want to bring up. WWE 2K24 and some of the rumors surrounding it. Almost immediately after Punk came back, one of the things people were saying was, "Oh, Punk's going to be the cover star. Punk's going to be the cover star. Oh, Punk's going to be the superstar showcase mode." And let's unpack that for a couple minutes, folks. Could Punk be in WWE 2K24? Yeah, he absolutely could. Could he be in the base game, non DLC? Maybe, more than likely, I'm going to say Punk's probably going to be a DLC character. And I'm going to tell you why. You know, I think with this, Punk's one of those guys, and with the games, it takes a while to build a character. It's not like he was in 2K20. They removed him for 22 and 23. And they can easily put him back in for 24 and just tweak him a little bit. No, it's not like that. Punk hasn't been in a WWE game since I want to say 2K15, maybe 2K14. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure when his last game was. Either way, they're gonna have to build him from scratch, and that takes a while. Now it is very, very tight for him to be in the game. Now, realistically, if the game was coming out in the old time, the old kind of release windows when the games were coming out in, October, Novemberish, yeah, I would say that's possible. But 2K24 is probably going to be coming out in, I would say, March-ish. 'Cause that's right around when 23 and 22 came out, to correspond with WrestleMania. There's no way the Superstar Showcase would be CM Punk. There's just no time. It said that the deal came about within the last several weeks, like the week or two before Survivor Series. Um, Having said that, it's highly unlikely that they signed him and called up 2K and said, "Hey, we got to get him in the Superstar Showcase. Get it done." Highly unlikely, borderline impossible. I would say the likelihood of him being the Superstar Showcase on a percentage, I would say it's probably about a 99.5% chance that CM Punk will not be the Superstar Showcase. If they do the Superstar Showcase for 2K24, which we still don't know for sure they're going to do that this year, we don't know for sure it's coming back. Probably is because we got it last year for Cena, which honestly, that was a really interesting way to do it, where you don't just play the wins, you play the losses. I like that. What they could do this year, there's a couple ways they could do it. They could do it as a focus on WrestleMania, some of the bigger WrestleManias out there. That'd be something that you could do. You could do a superstar showcase on Shawn Michaels, Mr. WrestleMania. You could do that. Although you don't really have a whole lot of contemporary matches. And he worked I think his last match was 25 or 26, and that was against Undertaker. I think were his last two manias. You could do one with the Undertaker. You have umpteen choices. You have, and the thing with the Undertaker doing the showcase on him is, we might get legends that we haven't seen in games in a while. People like, oh, who could we have? We could have Jimmy Snuka. We've seen Jake Roberts before. There's who was it? Mania 11. I think that was King Kong Bundy. Correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody, let me know. There's Sid. We haven't seen him in a game in a while. There's, Triple H. We see him every year. There's HBK. Now that Punk's back, maybe. There's of course that infamous WrestleMania 30 with Brock Lesnar, maybe. And then there's the Boneyard match. They could put that in there. Really kind of put the PS5 and the Xbox Series X to their paces. See what happens there. Maybe I'd be okay with it. You could do 40 years of WrestleMania. You could kind of look at select matches from Mania, not just the main events. Although I feel like that would be likely. What would make that interesting is WrestleMania 9 was a double main event. We had Yokozuna versus Bret Hart for the WWF Championship, and then Yoko wins it, faces Hulk Hogan because, well, Hulk Hogan wins it right from Yoko. Now, the rumor there was that initially Bret Hart was supposed to beat Yokozuna and retain the WWE title, and then drop it. I think it was at King of the Ring that year, where he ultimately did drop it. But the reason he dropped it at Mania was because Hogan was threatening to walk out if he didn't get the WWE title. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But realistically, would it surprise you if that was true? Let's be real here. So yeah, they could definitely do 40 years of WrestleMania for the Superstar Showcase. I would be excited over that. I would love a Superstar Showcase with 40 years of WrestleMania. Like, you could do a huge showcase. You could do one for almost every WrestleMania. You know, I would love to see them recreate the WrestleMania 4 and 5 arena. At the Trump Plaza arena in Atlantic City. I would love to see that as an arena. I think that would be really unique. I don't know. I would just love to see that. Now, the other option that personally I would be willing to put money on this one is Superstar Showcase for Randy Orton. Orton is one of the last few guys who was there in the Ruthless Aggression era. You know, at this point, he's on like the Cena or Undertaker level. He's on that icon status. Orton is probably in his last run. And at this point, there's nothing left for him to do. Guaranteed, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame at some point. I would say within the next 5, 10 years. You could go his whole entire career. You could do, the early days in OVW, which I think would be really cool. They've never done that before. We've never gotten like an OVW ring or anything like that. I'd like to see that. You could do the early days, where he was the blue chipper. You could do, the rise of evolution, I I don't the only thing I think they would skip on is Rated RKO, even though that was a fun tag team because Edge ended up going over to AEW. So I don't think he's making the game this year. So with that, I think it's most likely it would probably be Orton or maybe Undertaker. I don't see who else they're gonna do. I've heard people say, "Oh, they should do Judgment Day." Like, do the entire group. I don't know. If you want it to rival that of John Cena, I I think your best options are either Randy Orton, Triple H, maybe Shawn Michaels, Undertaker. You need somebody who has a long career. A long career who, has done it all, been there, done that, gotten the shirt, and hey, maybe even Mick Foley. I would love to see a Mick Foley showcase. Um, some of the younger fans may not be aware of some of his, options. I don't know. Um, some people have been saying Bray Wyatt, a superstar showcase on him. As much as I would love to see that, and anybody that knows me will tell you I'm a Bray Wyatt mark. I think he is one of the greatest minds in wrestling, or sorry, was one of the greatest minds in wrestling. I think we're gonna get him as a DLC, maybe a Bray Wyatt pack where you get, the Eater Worlds, you get, the Fiend, you get, the Firefly Funhouse Bray, you get the last version of Bray that we got. Maybe you even get that Husky Harris guy. Maybe you get him. You know, maybe we get a special mode with him. I don't know. You know, I don't know. I mean, it's possible we could get the Superstar Showcase with him. We don't know. They haven't really said much about the game. We know it's coming. We'll probably be getting the reveal. Let's see, it's December. What day is it? It's presently December 15th as I record this. Um, we're probably gonna get it. I'd say we're gonna get a reveal probably next month at Rumble. Like there'll probably be a commercial. So we'll see. Next topic of discussion. Next to jump ship. Edge jumped to AEW. Punk jumped to WWE. Realistically, um, I, we're not talking free agents here. We're talking current signed to AEW, jumping to WWE, current WWE signed, jumping to AEW. I think realistically, I'm going to say that Drew McIntyre. I can definitely see him jumping to AEW when his contract is up. Um, I think he makes the most sense. But people have said AJ Styles. I don't see that. I think AJ's at that point in his life and his career where he's here to make his money and be done. He's got kids. He wants to make his money and be done. I think this is his last contract. When he's done, his contract is done. I think that's it. I think he's gonna hang up his leave the boots in the ring, and he's gonna say, you know what, I had my fun. It's time to go home. It's time to do whatever, play his games, live his life. He's earned it. So I think we're gonna see Drew jump ship. Uh, Famous, maybe, but I don't know. I don't see what he would, why he would jump to AEW. I mean, he could. He's friends with Edge, but we'll see. Um, Now jumping from AEW to WWE, that one's a little more complicated. Um, I could see Mike Santana, trying to make a jump over. You know, I, I I think he would do real well in WWE, whether they put him on NXT or the main roster. I think he and Ortiz would be great pickups. Um, if they can get her, I could see Britt Baker doing well. She's let it be known that she's very frustrated with AEW and her lack of promo time. The only caveat to that is, would WWE allow her to maintain her dental practice and still work for them? Maybe, because they're going to want her on the road more. There's also the Adam Cole factor. Is Adam, she's getting to work with her fiance, so would she leave that behind? Would Adam Cole come with her? I don't know. A lot could happen, but we'll find out. I think this reminds me of wrestling as a kid during the Attitude Era. You never knew who was going to show up where, and to me, that is exciting. That is as a fan, I love that. I love to wonder, God, who's going to show up where. And what's it going to be like. Who are they going to work with? And say it's worked out for some. It hasn't worked out for others. We've yet to see Jade Cargill in the ring. I think we're gonna see her debut and actually wrestle at the Royal Rumble. Whether she's been getting more training, we don't know. We don't know, and at the end of the day, we can speculate all we want. Let's see what she does in the ring, and if she has improved. Time's gonna tell. But I'm gonna say, if I have to pick one from each, I'm gonna say Drew to AEW within the next year. I'm gonna say maybe Britt Baker to WWE, or should I say to NXT. Um, I mean, let's be real. I think Britt Baker would excel wherever. She's got an it factor. I think she would do well wherever she wants to go. But it's a tough call. People are saying, House of Black may try and jump. Who knows? I could see, Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews going back. They have reason to. Malachi could be with his wife. Buddy Matthews, could, maybe wants to work with Rhea, aka Mommy. I mean, they could do a storyline with Dom. See what happens. Funny enough, that brings me to the next topic of speculation. What's going on with Judgment Day? Arguably, I would say one of the most compelling groups since Bloodline was doing its thing, which I think Bloodline jumped the shark and they're done. nobody cares about the Bloodline story anymore. It's what's going on with Judgment Day. Dom lost the NXT North American title. Then said, where was Judgment Day? Where were they? Why weren't they in my corner? This and that. A lot of people are saying he's going to cost Finn and Priest the tag titles. Whether that happens, I don't know. I hope they keep them together because they're compelling TV. But we'll have to see what happens there. Next topic: best wrestling related movies. Put that on there because I thought we've got Iron Claw coming out in a few short weeks here, maybe even a week. I'm not 100% sure. Looks to be a great movie. Zach Efron, a couple other people are in it as the Von Erich brothers. I think Efron plays Kevin Von Erich. I could be wrong. Um, I'm looking forward to it. Any movie where we get about wrestling where it doesn't make wrestling look like a joke, I am all for that. Uh, as far as great wrestling movies, I mean, No Holds Barred, it can't be 80s fun. I didn't hate it, but I mean, and I've got it. It's a can't be corny 80s movie, and it is what it is. Best wrestling movie of all time, I gotta say The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke. Um, Initially, the studio had wanted Nicolas Cage, and I mean Nicolas Cage, the actor, the guy who was in Con Air and Face Off and National Treasure, not Nick Gage, not the man, the king, the god of this stuff. The Deathmatch King, Nick Gage. No, close, but different. And the nice thing is, Darren Aronofsky, the director of The Wrestler, talked to Nicolas Cage and said, "Hey, look, I know the studio wants you, but I really like Mickey Rourke for this part. I think it would do really well for him." And Nicolas Cage showed the respect and bowed out and said, "Yeah, go ahead. It's whatever." Studio finds out about this. They're like, "Okay, you can have him, but at half the budget." Okay. And I liked the movie because it had an indie kind of feel to it. It felt, kind of like an indie movie, but on a big budget. Great movies. And if you haven't seen it, check it out. Mickey Rourke is absolutely phenomenal. I believe he even won a Golden Globe and an Oscar, or maybe one or the other. I'm not sure exactly which. But check it out. It's honestly, it's one of my favorite movies. It's sad, it's compelling, it's a wonderful movie. And now that brings us to the last and final topic of the show: wrestling themes. The glorious tunes that play our favorite stars to the ring. What makes a good theme? Some of the best themes. What do you like? What don't you like? You know, I remember the old days of Jim Johnston for WWE and WWF. The guy who's created some of the most iconic entrance themes. We're talking, Shawn Michael. He helped create Shawn Michaels, the Undertaker theme. The Ultimate Warrior. Songs where you don't even have to hear the song. You may hear a couple bits when you're like, yeah, that's this person. Arguably one of the greats. The ones now are. And I'll be real here. I like AEW. I do. Um, I'm not a fan of their theme music that some of the artists have. I do like MJF theme, but that's not one they did. That is, a fair use song. Like, it, if I wanted to have an intro for this show, I could use MJF's theme. and it's fair use. Anybody can use it. Maybe I should do that. I'll have to table that one for now. But as far as the greatest wrestling themes, yeah, to me, what makes a great theme is something that adds to the superstar. You need a unique tone, something that is recognizable, has a hook to it. Let's look at Mick Foley's theme, for example. You have the car crash intro, you have that guitar. It's iconic. You have Undertaker's who has, you hear the gongs. And then you have just the tone of it. You have Stone Cold Steve Austin. You have his themes. And to me, the best themes are the ones that stick around, the ones that last. Let's look at Chris Jericho's WWE themes. By and large, he has had different versions of Break the Walls Down. I mean, he did have the one from Saliva, King of My World. He also had Don't You Wish You Were Me, which was his. But I mean, his own theme, Break the Walls Down, he's had different versions of that. It's an iconic. Big Show in WWE, he, I believe, only had maybe two or three over the course of like 20 years. He had the initial, well, it's the Big Show. And then when he left, he came back with one, I believe it was by Brand New Sin. I think that's the band name. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. But I don't know. That's to me. I think my favorite wrestling themes right now, if I had to pick one from WWE, one from AEW, and then one that could be from anywhere other than those two, AEW, I'm gonna go with either Sammy Guevara or MJF. WWE, oh, that's tough. That's tough, 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 tough. I'm gonna say either Rollins or Reigns. One of those two. I really, enjoy the theme. It's got good beat to it, got a good hook. Non WWE or AEW, I gotta go with Bullet Club for New Japan. I don't know. It gives me NWO vibes, but at the same time, something different. It's just cool. Like you hear that theme, and it's just like it's a badass theme. It's like you see the guys enter. I remember the first time I saw it on an entrance. It was it was years ago, but it was who came out? It was Bad Luck Fale, the Bucks, Kenny, and I believe it was Yujiro Takahashi. I could be wrong, but just seeing those guys just come out to the ring and just with such swagger, and just like okay. I see it now. Because I'd seen the Bullet Club and wondered like, what is it about these guys? They just had an aura, and it worked. But let me know. Let me know what you guys think. Leave comments saying what wrestling themes you like. What some of your favorites. What you look for in a wrestling theme. I'd love to hear your comments. And with that, that brings us to a close. Again, I'm going to reiterate what I said at the top of the show. Going forward, there will be no bias here. There will be no pro WWE, anti AEW, no pro AEW, anti WWE, none of that. You're going to get a fair and totally level playing field as far as pro wrestling. I'm going to tell you what I like, I'm going to tell you what I don't like. And that is my promise to you. I'm going to give you straight up facts as I see them, and I will not. I promise you, you will not get any bias from me. So going forward, when can you expect the next show? I look to be recording episode number 3 within the next day or so. All depends on work life schedule, which, we're getting close to Christmas. Christmas, as we all know, is in 10 days from today. On that note, I want to thank all of you for taking the time out of your very busy schedules to listen to me. You know, I really want to make this a regular thing. I would love for you all to come along on the ride with me. Subscribe, click the bell to turn on notifications, all the stereotypical YouTube stuff. And again, thank you for everything, folks. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful time. Thank you for stopping by and listening to what I have to say. Thank you and good night.